Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, and today I am at the Opera House of Ukraine. Very beautiful building. It looks like some kind of a red carpet event happening right now. Maybe some famous opera singer is coming into play. I don't know. But I do know it's a surprisingly warm stay here in Kiev, given that it's the middle of October. I would be expecting to freeze my butt off right about now, and if you remember from a few videos back, it was very cold when I first got here, and then it warmed up nicely, so it's been really nice. I haven't even had to wear a jacket, but I think that's going to change coming up real soon, because I'll be here through December, and I reckon it's going to get very cold, so I have to enjoy this nice weather while it lasts. So for this video, I want to talk about the concept of calling yourself enlightened and why this is such a ridiculous thing to do. Before we go any further though, you're all watching Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. We talk about complex, supernatural, paranormal types of subjects, and you could really help the channel out by going down, hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like the video, share the video if you like what I have to say. Now, it's not everybody's cup of tea. We talk about crazy stuff here, but if you enjoy learning about out-of-body experiences and life beyond the grave, then maybe this is the kind of place for you. All right, so let's maybe walk this way. My hostel is kind of back that direction, and we can check out this red carpet unraveling. And then there's a little square over here, which is kind of cool as well. So we'll walk around this way. So, being somebody who has been involved in these spiritual subjects for a long time, I'm very aware of this silly phenomenon that we see especially on internet forums, Facebook groups with names like light workers or consciousness or spiritual this, spiritual that, where people, because they took up some practice like meditation or yoga or out-of-body experiences, they begin to feel as if they are superior to everybody else. And you'll see this happening with just a little bit of a subtle disguise over what they're saying. So they will subtly tell you that you have not yet achieved the level of enlightenment that they have achieved because you're not as good at yoga or whatever it might be. And so they believe that they're one step above you. Of course, it's very obvious that when people act like this, they are practicing what I call the ego hiding in the bushes. Now, of course, ego is a very misunderstood concept, but by their own definition of ego, which I guess we could say is thinking of yourself as a separate being who is greater or lesser than somebody else. By this whole definition, they are definitely practicing an egoic way of thinking. Now, some people just use ego as a catch-all phrase for anything that they disagree with, any personality trait they don't like. They just say ego, ego, ego. And that's a whole other bucket of silliness, which I'll talk about later. But the point is that there's just this common behavior of using spirituality as a gateway to feeling superior to everybody else. And it doesn't just happen with individuals, but it can happen with whole groups of people. That is to say, religious sects and spiritual subgroups. So this could include sects of Hinduism, it could include sects of Eastern philosophy or meditation, or groups who follow particular gurus. And they're taught certain things, and they feel like they're part of a club, and they have access to information that the normal person doesn't have access to. And then they use that to bludgeon people over the head with their feeling of superiority. So I see this manifested in many ways. All the time I've had people telling me that I'm not enlightened enough because I talk about principles of life beyond the grave, about how we maintain our individualities, how we are still ourselves after we cross over. And some of these sects want to believe that we become instantly enlightened, or that any interest in anything that reflects our personalities or our hobbies, the things we love to do, like traveling in a place like Kiev, is a worldly pursuit. It's not somehow enlightened enough. And they will remind you of that. And they will tell you that what you're doing is not as sophisticated as what they're doing. So again, it's the ego hiding in the bushes. And one of the numerous ways that this is so problematic is, aside from the fact that this is like a direct path to cult-like behavior, one of the big issues is that it prevents further growth from happening. So if you think that you've learned everything, or if you think that the path you're on is the path of enlightenment, then suddenly you're not able to digest any further information. You'll no longer be open to new ideas and new possibilities. You will be stuck now into this rigid way of thinking, and you'll never be able to get out of it. Well, you will be able to get out of it if you wake up and realize how hypocritical and ridiculous you're being. So you end up closed off to other possibilities. Now, there's many ways I can illustrate this. For one, there's people who disbelieve the things I say because it goes against their sort of orthodox teaching. So we also see the phenomenon of like orthodoxy hiding in the bushes. So people will take up, for example, it could be something that seems very harmless. I don't know, like whether it's Zen meditation or Hinduism, or it could be a number of different topics. But they feel threatened by the information that could potentially go against it. So the idea of an afterlife, even though it gets directly experienced in an objective way by so many people, is a lot of the times running contrary to what spiritual teachers say. For example, sometimes they say that there is such a thing as reincarnation, but there's no such thing as a true astral existence, or it's not enlightened to be interested in continuing relationships with our deceased loved ones, because that's an attachment, and we have to rid ourselves of all attachments. And so when I discuss these topics, they get dismissed, or I get called a liar, or that I'm confused, or that I'm not enlightened. And this is a major hang-up, because people are blocking themselves away from real possibilities based upon these ridiculous beliefs, orthodoxies that they develop. Well, here we are at the Golden Gates, the old gates of Kiev. There's a statue of somebody who I forgot, but I think he was an architect. Anyway, very beautiful. And there's Kiev. There's some thoughts I had about this. Maybe I'm just ranting. I don't know if this made sense or not. But go down, check out afterlifetopics.com. You can check out books like Understanding Life After Death, or you can support the page by becoming a patron. All that in the description down below if you like what I have to say. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.